He fell asleep in New Jersey before the bombs hit the ground. Broadcasting from a bomb shelter, he is the nuclear clown. I got UFC 2010 for the Xbox 3 plus 6 plus O. Well, I don't want to. This isn't a review because I've only had the game for about 2 days. This is more like an immediate reaction to something that I feel I absolutely have to address. From what I've played so far, if you're just picking up UFC 2010 to pick, you know, some of the established fighters and fight, it's fine. It's really good. They added a ton of new submissions. They added a lot of new elements to the game. The head bobbing, weaving thing is all very nice. A lot of new submissions, a lot of new different kinds of strikes, more signature moves for the fighters. The stances kind of differ. You could switch your stance. You know, a lot of stuff. They added a whole lot in this edition. But personally, I don't really play this game to go on and play as Lyoto Machida or Rampage Jackson or whoever. I really like the career mode and making my own guy and making silly, funny-looking fighters and putting them through career mode and then having them fight other silly, created fighters that my friends make. And that's pretty much why I got the game. So imagine my surprise when the career mode is driving me to alcohol. I cannot stress this enough. Your stats and your attributes degrade over time if you do not raise them. So you could have strength 100, and as weeks go by, it will go down. Unless you invest points in it. So you're spending points in a stat, an attribute you already have to the limit, and you're wasting valuable weeks of your career maintaining what you already have so it does not get lower. I think this is a phenomenal step back in the game. I think it's a phenomenal insult. I think that I am personally offended and challenge anyone involved in the making of this game to a ritualized duel. Pistols. It's very frustrating when you're making a guy in career mode, and in order to win the fights or to get points in your sparring sessions, you need, you know, to have one stat very good. So you raise that to be very good, and then it starts getting lower if you neglect it. And you end up playing a balancing act, running back and forth, making sure your stats aren't falling, then making sure your skills aren't falling, while trying to keep rested for your next fight. I hate this. The career mode is not fun at all. I've had the game 2 days, and I've already played 2 fighters completely through the 12-year career mode, which means A, I have no life, and B, I am not just making this a knee-jerk reaction. I have sat down and played this game. Sure, it's been 2 days. This isn't a comprehensive review. It's me going fucking crazy because I used to have really good skills and now I do not. To put it in a role-playing analogy, if you role-play out there, it's like, let's say we're playing Dungeons & Dragons, and you have intelligence 18, and you haven't done a crossword puzzle for 3 adventures. So I say, you know what? You haven't used your brain in a couple of adventures, so I'm going to roll a d6, and that's how much lower your intelligence is. I would get attacked by players, and there's not a judge in the world that would convict me because they were perfectly right. If you're making a character and you're building up their skills, please don't take them away. This is counterproductive, and you end up wasting weeks getting skills back to where they were. Now, they have little save points. If you have an attribute or a skill up to 30, it won't degrade below 30. So if you have strength 35 and you neglect it, over time it'll rot, but not down below 30, which I guess is okay. But that's like saying, well, instead of kicking you in the balls, I'm going to punch you in the gut. It's a little better than nothing, but it still sucks. So what I ended up doing was really being calculated about making my fighter. The first time through, he was a mess because all my skills were rotting. My attributes were going down by 5 every couple of weeks. It was ridiculous, and I was just running back and forth trying to get things together. So I sat down and I read up and I said, all right, this is how they're doing it, and I don't agree at all with how they did the career mode, but I'll try to make the best out of it. So what I did was I would raise my stats to 30 so they wouldn't drop. Then I would focus on my skills, raising them to 30 so they wouldn't drop. Then with that breathing room, I would train up some moves I wanted and this or that and the other thing, and then eventually raise the skills up to 50, raise the attributes to 50. Because if you keep them up to the safe points, I guess you can say, are 30 points, 50 points, and 70 points. So if you have a skill at 95 and you stop wasting points into it, it'll drop, but it won't drop below 70. You have to be like an algebra, geometry, trigonometry wizard to figure this shit out and to make it so that you're not losing anything and jumping back and forth between shit. What I had to do was not rest for my fights. Lose all the fights I had because they don't help you out. What do they give you? Credibility? Big deal. You're going to have max credibility by the end of the career mode anyway, no matter what you do. So what's the fucking point? Instead of taking the weeks to rest and do game plans, which is a nice little feature, instead of doing that, what I found myself doing was working on my skills and my attributes, screwing the win-loss record because I know I'd have a better fighter at the end of the career mode to play on Xbox Live if I just skipped all that shit entirely and worked solely on the stuff, making sure my guy did not rot to death. I picture a cage fighter sitting in a cardboard box starving with his ribs showing when you make a character, you bump up your shit to 20, and then in a couple of weeks, all of your skills have degraded to nothing. If you're taking it just, hey, I just like using the fighters they have, I don't want to do career mode, then UFC 2010 is really, really good. It adds a lot over last year's, but if you're into career mode, buy some aspirin, buy some alcohol, and buy some heroin, because you're going to need all 3 to get beyond what's going to happen to you when you're hard-earned points. You're sitting there for hours playing, and when your points in mass start dropping, it is completely demoralizing. And I'll tell you this right now, it was down to this or Red Dead Redemption for what game I was going to get, and I really regret not getting Red Dead Redemption. I really do, because UFC 2010, the career mode is no fun. It is not fun. You're sitting there stressed out of your fucking mind because you're watching the stamina bars on all your skills and your attributes, making sure they don't drop to nothing. So I'm upset. I'm very, very upset, and I'm probably going to eat a lot because I'm sad. I seriously regret buying UFC 2010 solely for the career mode. This drives me nuts. With tattoos, you can use the 2 joysticks and make them bigger, make them smaller, move them anywhere you want on the body. That's a great improvement from last year's. But then when you're creating your banner and you're using the same images, the image will always be in the center of the banner. For example, if you have, a skull in the center of your banner, why can't you make it smaller, bigger, or set it in a different place in the banner, just like you did with tattoos? They already have the feature in the game. Why didn't they just translate it to creating your banner? It's ridiculous, and the banners just have an image in the center and a design in the back. That's it. This isn't a review, because I try not to get emotionally invested in my reviews, but I am upset right now, and I am sad, and I want to weep. I want to weep for the future of America right now, because Zanzibar Gracie, his strength is rotting as we speak, and he needs me. He needs me to train him. And you know what else drives me crazy about this game? The way they did camps. Now you have to learn single moves. You have to learn single moves. You can't just raise your boxing and learn a bunch of moves as you gain in technique like you could in last year's. Now you have to learn it move by move. Now, that sounds neat, because you could really customize your fighter and say, okay, I want to do Muay Thai, but I want to have, some special punches or take some signature moves from other fighters. I am completely down with that aspect of the game. I like that a lot, but the way they handled it, I think, is really terrible, because they give you a list of camps, and every camp has a list of moves that you could learn. And God forbid you forget what camp you learned what in, because you'll be scrolling through menus for 5 minutes. And while you're learning Superman Punch left, your attributes are crumbling, your skills are crumbling, and you're getting your ass beat in fights because you're not resting, because you're trying to save your fighter's stats. And another thing that drives me berserk is that when you learn your Superman Punch left, you can't do Superman Punch right. You have to go to another camp to learn the same move with your other hand. Do you understand what that means? That's like, boy, hey Dave, you're blinking kind of funny. Yeah, I only learned how to blink on the right side of my body and not the left, but I'm working on it. I have to lay down. So I will leave you with this.